Brightest blessings, everyone. Psychic medium Elizabeth Grove, the Paranormal Priestess. Welcome to the Paranormal Priestess YouTube channel, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Elizabeth. I'm a medium, divine channeler, remote spirit extractor, white witch, and divine alchemist, and I also happen to be a divine twin flame on the path to reunion. I appreciate all of you who have subscribed to the channel, those of you who leave comments, those of you who have become clients, who have had readings with me, who have had light language healing sessions, and those of you who have had spirit extraction services. It's been just such an honor to be able to be of service, to work with you. I get emails all the time on how my work has really affected somebody, helped them to progress, to move forward, to really have that clarity there. And it's really been amazing to read these emails, and I deeply appreciate it. And sometimes it's very hard for me to see myself the way others do, but I'm just being me, sharing the gifts that I have, and doing the best I can with just sharing my light with the world. So thank you very, very much for really seeing me and really honoring my light. And namaste to you as well. I honor the divinity in you as well. So we are in some really intense, deep triggering types of energies. I know so many of you are going, what the heck, with a lot of stuff coming up, and it's been really very challenging since we've had the new moon solar eclipse in Gemini that just passed. Of course, we're in the Mercury retrograde energy, we're in the Saturn retrograde energy, so it's a lot of cosmic event type of energy where we are going back for things, having to go through that density, having to work through very difficult patterns, really difficult emotions that are these really bottom layers. From what I have really received and from what I've also been experiencing, it's pretty much what Archangel Michael was saying. A lot of us are having mental disarray come up. So that disarray of confusion, just feeling very out of it, or feeling just really kind of battling in the mind, kind of being at war within the mind, or having the mind feel like it's like in this mental prison or this cage. This is challenging, but it's trying to get us to free ourselves from these limiting thoughts, these thoughts that are not helping us, these patterns that have continued, that have brought us really limiting experiences or negative experiences. The eclipse energy is getting us to be eclipsed out of it, having that burn away. So I know a lot of people are finding it really very difficult to deal with these energies, and the triggers have been, wow, they've been a lot. So some of the stuff that I have been getting with this one has been a lot of, we'll say, like mental habits. It could be addictive type tendencies, addiction thinking. It could be intrusive thoughts, compulsions, like kind of OCD, if you want to say that. I don't like labeling things, but we'll say intrusive thoughts, compulsive thoughts, bringing up anxiety and even depression, falling into that victimization type of mentality again, entrapment kind of mentality. And, the emotions that go with the mental cage or the mental prison, it's for real. Right? It's very hard sometimes to get through days, and I understand that, and it's very exhausting for so many of you. I know I hear all the time, I've been really, really fatigued, I've been super exhausted, I've been waking up at all hours of the night, sometimes not sleeping at night, or waking up at certain times in the morning, and just feeling completely depleted. And what there is to know about this is there's a lot of also stuck energy that's in the body that's starting to come up to the surface with this. There are areas in the body that you can really connect with if you're having pain or discomfort there, such as the solar plexus and the sacral chakra. I know I have been getting a lot of pain there, a lot of cramping there, a lot of urination type of thing. When you look at the bathroom all the time, it's like that area all those areas are trying to clear out of trauma. They're trying to clear out of those emotions that have been there. Okay, and if you are struggling right now with just shame or self-judgment, criticizing yourself, or falling into these patterns again, or even having any of these types of mental disarrays, I can understand it. The key here is to really just stay with yourself and to really be as gentle and compassionate with yourself as you can be. If you fall off the wagon, sometimes, we fall off the wagon. Some of you have addictive tendencies out there, I'm sure. It could be compulsion. It could be addicted to video games. It could be addicted to porn. It could be addicted to drugs. It could be addictions to alcohol. It could be addictions to gambling. It could be addictions to buying things. Whatever it is that's trying to basically mask the traumas, it's not going to work anymore. And these are all coming up to the surface for us to really clear out anything that's no longer serving us. A lot of times we create these stories, these mental stories of why we need to do these things, or why we're in these patterns. It's really hard to see past those mental patterns and the programming. And we develop these identities, these false identities around these stories and these programs and these false beliefs. And these false identities, some of them could be about just putting a certain appeal or a certain image out there to the world, to other people, where it's like, hey, I have everything under control. Hey, I have everything in life. Hey, look at me. This gives me value. This gives me worth. Could be this identity where it's like, oh, nothing ever works out for me. I don't get anywhere in life. The true love doesn't come from me because it's just because it's me. We tend to make up these really limiting stories, and they take on these identifications, like victim identification, or like kind of superhero archetype identification, where we have to take care of everyone else or show everyone we have everything together, and then we can't show anyone our weaknesses or our vulnerabilities. There's so many different archetypes that we can develop, when we have these programmings and when we have these stories. And all of it really truthfully comes down to those traumas and how it's impacted our self-worth and our self-value. How is it keeping us from accepting imperfections even about ourselves? It's very important. For those of you who may have compulsions in this area, maybe it's like you don't think you're pretty enough, or sexy enough, or handsome enough, or whatever it is enough. It's for us to realize that nobody's perfect, and it's a lot about control. It's trying to control. Say control the body to look a certain way, fix this, fix that, fix this. Trying to control every area in your life, over-control it, where you're trying to perfect everything, even in a work capacity. People control also in a relationship, trying to control that and how things go. Many people just try to reach this ideal, this unrealistic ideal, or this perfectionism that just will never happen. People are never happy when they do that. They always end up being in just stress or anxiety, never within that peace and that ease. So it's a lot of these types of things that are coming up. They're burning away now, guys. Trying to attain perfection. And if that's been like your mental cage, if that has been this mental disarray, the story, the programming, the identification, it's now where your team source is trying to get you to identify what's not serving you, to be able to sit with these things, to put the pieces together, and to realize that all of this has been very learned behaviors. And this is not to place blame on anybody, because blame is a very negative energy, and oftentimes there's resentment when we're in this blame. But to put the pieces together as to where the root causes could possibly be for the mental, emotional, especially the mental disarray. But it brings about a lot of emotions, right? Mental, emotional imbalance. But when we sit and we take a look at these things, we often can connect it with memories from our past. And this is what our team and what Source is trying to get us to do right now, especially, is to connect this. Many people don't realize that they have a lot of trapped memories and repressed emotions that are there. So a lot of these patterns, addictions, compulsions, all this type of mental cage, there are memories that are connected that we still may be having cords to those timelines, hooks and threads or ribbons that are still connected to that energy of those timelines. And that we still could have the imprint from those traumatic times as well, where you say you have been in panic or you have been in this absolute state of anxiety and depression, and it was like, say, maybe one of the worst times of your life, or even several times where it's been really rattling for you. You could be still working off of this energy and still connected to those timelines. So just to kind of put some things together before we get into the light language is, you might want to sit and just see what comes to you. Ask your team to come to you. Ask for love, source, and light to be with you, your higher self, your I am presence as well. And check in also with your body too. See where you're feeling some of that density. It's going to be pain energy. It's going to feel tense in those areas. Connecting back with the memories is what your team, with your higher self and your I am presence can help you do, to track back where you may be in this loop of reliving these traumas, and constantly within this imprint energy. And to understand that so much of it is passed down. Again, we have to think learned behavior, and that these could very well be, and often are, ancestral patterns. So we have our ancestors, they have very limited experiences within the matrix. They've gone through a lot of mental disarray, right? They've had a lot of mental and emotional issues there, where it eventually develops into dis-ease. And that dis-ease, as they would say, then becomes within your DNA, right? So dis-ease really, like, say if you have genetics, for instance, that you're more prone to depression, and more prone to bipolarism, or you're more prone to addictive types of thinking, behaviors, however that is. It all comes down to how were your ancestors living? What were their experiences like? How were they not at ease? So when we go and sit with things to actually clear them or transmute them, dissolve them, we have to recognize that our ancestors have also impacted us in many, many ways, where so much of these things are passed down dis-eases. And to understand too about, as I always say, because it's important for people to understand where to go with their healing, other lifetime timelines and dimensions where we have taken vows, promises, agreements, contracts that have been negative or limiting, and they could be consciously accepted or unconsciously accepted, guys. I want you to understand that. Sometimes, in other lifetimes, we've unconsciously accepted things, even in this lifetime. This is all a part of the mix. It's all a part of the mix of getting to the very root causes of these types of things. So just some things to think about. I know the emotions can be really, really rough, but if you can allow yourself to feel them, if you can send that love and light to those feelings, it will help you. The other thing that I've noticed has really helped me is if you are all of a sudden diving back into the resistance of resisting your habits, or resisting any type of addictive tendencies or habits, or whatever it could be. It could be something like you would think as simple as, like, I'm just always late, or I'm never on time, or I can never do anything. Whatever habits it could be. Whatever patterns they are for you personally, but we tend to get into this self-hatred sometimes with it. We tend to judge ourselves and criticize ourselves and feel a lot of shame around it. We want to basically take those things and hide them from people, and that's where the identities come in, where we create these identities that, okay, I have to show my best face at all times, my best way at all times, my best appeal, as Archangel Michael always says in readings, show this certain appeal. And we have to hide those shadows from the world and bury them. And we literally do bury them because we're ashamed of them. We don't like those shadow parts of us. Don't like you. It's this resistance and this negative energy and this conflict within us. So if you can sit and actually be without resistance, and even those parts of yourself that are really bothersome and really disturbing and really, really hard to even be with in that moment, if you can send them love and light and say it's okay, it really is okay. I give my light, my love to you. Let that love be accepted. Allow that love to really flow. And it's going to help. It's going to help not have that fight, not have that conflict. It's going to help those habits and those shadows and those addictions and those compulsions to not speak so loud. You're giving them a voice. You're allowing them to know it's okay. You're coming from a place of gentleness and compassion with yourself in all ways. And that truly will do so much with allowing yourself to heal, releasing. When that's ready to release, it releases, and you're retaining the growth and the lesson from it. It will make you stronger. As my masculine always reminds me, and he continuously reminds me, and I remind him as well, it's true. You will be stronger from this. You can absolutely do this. Don't beat yourself up. Really just give yourself that time and that space to understand that it's natural to feel this way. People have these different issues and these different thought patterns. Nobody's perfect. Okay, that striving to be perfect just doesn't exist. People have, different anxieties and even phobias and things. And, he always reminds me, hey, you don't have to be so hard. You don't have to be so ashamed either of these things, because we all have these shadow parts. Nobody is perfect. And if they try to come off that way or try to seem that way, you're talking about some probably very unhappy people underneath the surface and behind closed doors. So they're not being real with themselves. There's the false beliefs, false identities, stories, all of that. So being, having that support from other people is great. Having the support from your twin, if you have that, is great. But understand that you have support at all times, no matter what. So if you have a twin flame, you're not connecting with them and discussing these types of things, that's okay. You have support everywhere. You have support. You have your team, your spiritual team. You can be your own greatest support as well. Source, love, and light, of course, is there for you. You have all of that loving support. You're never alone with these things. But, how we perceive things and our distortions with how we perceive ourselves and things, life, whatever it is, how we perceive others, this is coming up a lot, guys. To be able to help us to clear out that mind, clear out those emotions, and really be the love, as I say. So the question to ask yourself before I get into the light language to address some of these things is, how is your thinking limiting your miracle consciousness? How is it limiting your miracle consciousness? It's a really important question, because we honestly can live the life that we truly desire, but we have to let ourselves, we have to allow ourselves to live it. When we're in a mental prison, when we have these patterns, and they turn into these behaviors, they turn into these addictions and all of these sorts of things, we have limited views of ourselves, limited self-worth, limited self-value. And we're limiting our opportunities in life. We're limiting just how much we could achieve, how many beautiful, joyful, loving experiences we could have. Right? But it's not to beat yourself up, but it's just to identify. And the angels, the guides, the higher beings want to help all of you with identifying these patterns and understanding where they come from, and to realize that it's energy. It can be released. It could be cleared. A brand new positive programming, a brand new story, one that serves your true identity, your true light. It's very, very possible for this all to come. It really is, to come into your life, for you to have a different programming, a different perception. So just some things here that I wanted to talk about. And you can let me know if you're having these types of things come up for you too with this eclipse. If you need to seek out any type of help, any type of counseling, any type of energy clearing, anything like that. I'm even here for light language. I love doing light language personally for people. The reading services help a lot as well. But I really feel like there are times where sometimes people do. They require to reach out. It's not that you don't have your abilities. Of course you do in your own team. But sometimes it's good to reach out. So if you are feeling a tug, if you're feeling an urge, even if it's not me, I'm not saying, just me. But if you are being urged to seek out any type of therapy or seek out any type of assistance, or if it's even about like AA or whatever it is, then, you're doing something for yourself, you're choosing yourself, and that's super important. And that means that you're choosing to heal. And once that intention is set, then you're going to be met with the help from the universe. You will be met with that help. Things will get better. But we have to remain patient, which is sometimes hard. So I am definitely guided to do this light language, which is going to help with some of the things that we're talking about in terms of mental cages, mental prisons, habits, behaviors, addictions. Anything that has been limiting you, really, really not helping you in your life, where, say, perception has been distorted. And this is going to help to free your mind. Free your mind, and the rest will follow, right? So just get comfy, and you're going to set the intention that you are to receive this light language. And this light language, I intend, is going to be for the highest good of all who are watching. Doesn't matter when you're watching, but for all who are watching, that it gives the best benefit. And you may want to drink some water after this. You could have some purging. It's very possible. You may get a little bit tired. You may feel tingles or energy running through you. You may have aha moments in a day or so, or even after that. But this is to shift what we're talking about. This is to help you on your road to healing and recovery. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this light language. Oto ho kanya ha sa. Yes, si sinuntumian the kalasa satiash nirisia. Idru mutuasa kala shundra kedris sisani tu pono no gata kala reside dristo dumia unduba la kara shunuru bisusuyaka itish no kai. Esere mi la tea trasata katrundo to shibo ya confonia kara. E krakara tundo to pikindeke atu edresesia andu mushikine e duanda kundotoa e proof soto hayene kere seteke rasadar la dukua la shakani sisua yete do kudu asa satinde keshu to ko na la tu ko tara ne ke rasa suka shua ne ke asu ne te asisiela andro ka ruko to asa kamre trikne shikun ne hanyikia tu kume anwan ku fo to ga sakundi inte kishne wo kushira tu korea la susure Itu bagala kan nutu ane asa sita di kuana nuna takara sakara dia khrani tishri. Kudru ya ikara kari sisi ya trikish ni du dua shesa ha sha itu ko badus tundu biya no ne biya re susu bidi sha nyunu nya kira kira kara nukan ro tu kunu ko basa soda te kere sisi ya she Matukan, yang tuka vera sundumiat na kene alarau tuka rasu andi sisia tuki shi sisiwa ni karia. Indrupio, edruko binyo ko sumia andra sasa. Sasa how tuku no bie kaya tuku mahashu. Edruki mekedra kera sadra karente sisia. Putua negosio sasa. Te kerere che trisisine risesandro shakara. Hadro ko initiate. Utuko patakera non hasasari radra kurshumie. Adrakat nekatnya sa atakuri ni yotushu. Bodro poa kane ni keldru teke sasuya andres sasuya. Drogo nachrin dua nechari nuto entre knebe kadra nechani sukaru to koi yu tua ceshere sesita ki nu shred da kalere sukomra otropinye otromi kedre signa otropinye kadra soya otropinye edrege susubire tisto sha otrokonya nekinye erko tua Tratna kadra sasundiki. Otuko mia otua shisera leki atro sumibi. Itikir tuko mia boria atua le sefi. Trebeki asova sasa nikere nikeshinkari otoroshi atu. Atrasis kadri shikitri nikasi shahani nikutuko ya nishtu tiku. Huru. Ekaro tukotnya. Etu kadra tukundrie. Tu koni akharini te kisisi te gatra. Ofo ta donshu. Mudonia sosunia. Khanunia sia. Mugutu bigara sata. Hekret mikadris bidrek nya kharisu. Mutu oshtra ne khakrini neki. Edrek nyakara sa halatu. Mundu kushne nikishra sasare ero. Druk you hot, big susaya, hot, core, the codrot, the cachni big, nes, status, not, shusia. The codria big rasa, ni reshika rasa, nikia nieshi. Truco sukun, kundoe. Fogundohosinda ricordratni halasnika recepedruni nekishinresti desia show. Ya. Okaya sasa ya ha yesasai. Drotne kedreshe se ahai shi se ashis se hai. O totu shuho ko khudni dukto bayash. Drogo toguni ushti kadratuko fadakinyo sonya. No quere so. No te quiere sequoia, quiere sequoia anda hasa aya. Otuashe. Here is sura. Deep breath. Release. It's done. Thank you all for joining me today. I'm wishing you very well and the brightest of blessings with your journey and for everything you're going through. I'm glad to be supporting the collective, and remember, from the heart of the darkness is born the light. Brightest blessings, everyone. Take care. and I will see you soon.